All right, you know what time it is. Neil Ratnow-Ruckdock here with a story. This week in December 1971, Led Zeppelin had the #2 album with Led Zeppelin #4. And although the album never made it to #1, the album is Led Zeppelin's best-selling record with sales of over 37 million copies worldwide and is on most everybody's list as one of the greatest albums of all time. And today, I thought I would tell you a few things about Led Zeppelin and the album that you might not know. But as usual, a little background first. Alrighty, so after the release of Led Zeppelin III in October of 1970, the group took a break from live performance to concentrate on material for the next album. Now they chose to record at Headley Grange, a country house out in the English countryside, using the Rolling Stones' mobile studio. Now, and according to Jimmy Page, we needed a sort of facility where we could have a cup of tea and wander around the garden and go in and do what we had to do. John Paul Jones commented on the fact that since there was no bar or leisure facilities, it allowed the band to focus on the music without distraction. And the band decided that their fourth album would officially be untitled and would be represented instead by 4 symbols, each member of the band getting to choose his own symbol. And there'd be no name and no details on the cover. And if you look at the symbols, they're very interesting, and I'm sure you can find an explanation of what each one meant to each of the people. Okay, now, okay, so unlike the prior 2 albums, the band was joined by some great guest musicians. Fairport Convention vocalist Sandy Denny on The Battle of Evermore, and Rolling Stones pianist Ian Stewart on Rock and Roll. Okay, now the most famous song on the album, of course, and one of the greatest rock and roll songs of all time, has to be Stairway to Heaven. And the song started as music that Page wrote by himself, and he first played it for the group at Headley Grange. Plant wrote the lyrics very quickly and said, "I was holding a pencil and paper, and for some reason I was in a very bad mood. Then all of a sudden, my hand was writing out the words. There's a lady who's sure all that glitters is gold, and she's buying a stairway to heaven." I just sat there and looked at the words, and then I almost leapt out of my seat. Jimmy Page felt Robert Plant's lyrics were his best yet, and had him write all of Zeppelin's lyrics from then on. Although Plant didn't really love the song at first. I think he might have said he thought it was like a wedding song. But Page totally disagreed. Now, bass player John Paul Jones decided not to use bass on the tune because it sounded like a folk song. So instead, he added a string section, keyboards, and flutes. And he also played wooden recorders that were used on the intro. And if you notice, John Bonham's drums don't even come in until about 4 minutes. Now, Page was asked what the song meant to him. And as I said, to him, this was the song. This was Led Zeppelin. And what he said is, "To me, I thought Stairway crystallized the essence of the band. It had everything there and showed the band at its best as a band, as a unit. Not talking about solos or anything. It had everything. We were careful not to release it as a single. It was a milestone for us. Every musician wants to do something of lasting quality, something which will hold for a long time, and I guess we did it with Stairway. Townsend probably thought he got it with Tommy. I don't know whether I have the ability to come up with more. I don't have to do a lot of hard work before I can get anywhere. I have to do a lot of hard work before I can get anywhere near those stages of consistent, total brilliance." And I think we would all agree that the song, it's on everybody's list. New Year's Eve, man, when all these classic rock stations, do these fan surveys of what do you want to hear and what's the most popular song. 9 times out of 10, Stairway to Heaven comes out number 1. Now, of course, the song is not without controversy. Most of you out there know about the lawsuit filed by the estate of Randy, California, charging plagiarism. I'm sure many of you have listened to the Spirit piece where Randy plays something quite similar to the intro. Suffice it to say, it's gone back and forth in court, and a final decision is still pending. It was decided in Zepp's favor. It was overturned. Now they're going to actually rehear the case from what I understand. All right, lawsuit or not, Led Zeppelin IV remains an album you should definitely have in your collection. All right, so that's my story for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me see, what could I tell you? I have a new podcast coming out. It'll be available this Wednesday. I'm going to put it up on my website. Of course, it'll be available on the Woodstock Podcast Network. And for all you Pink Floyd fans out there, my guest is my old friend Putty Watts, the wife of Pink Floyd's chief sound technician and road manager, Peter Watts, who also happened to be the father of Naomi Watts. And Putty's going to tell us all about the Dark Side of the Moon, which of course I was involved with. Got involved through Putty and Peter, who became a good friend of mine. How those voices got on the album, of which Peter and Putty's are very prominent. And some more interesting and unusual stories that you don't know about the Pink Floyd. All right. Also, my radio show, 3 o'clock on Saturdays and Sundays on WDST 100.1 up here, iHeartRadio, if you're not up here. And my Facebook page. And, of course, my book is available on my website, neilratnerrockdoc.com, Spotify, Neil Ratner Rock Doc's Medicine Cabinet. If you need a good playlist for a party and you like classic rock, it's there. All right, that's it. I'm gone. The sun's shining, so don't know how it is where you are. Have a great rest of the weekend, and I will see you all real soon. Bye now.